Hey, what's going on, guys? What's going on, YouTubers? I'm going to talk to you today about how Ty Cobb was not a racist. Now, there was a movie in 1994 called Cobb starring Tommy Lee Jones as Ty Cobb, and it's largely been discredited, and it was largely fictional. It was based on a book by Al Stump, but Al Stump has written biographies on people that have been not very credible, and that's, putting it mildly. That movie had Ty Cobb use the N-word just about every other breath, and in Ty Cobb's lifetime, yes, he started berating a black groundskeeper, but it had nothing to do with race, and he didn't use the N-word. He didn't like the conditions of the field, so the black groundskeeper mouths back to him, so he goes to the black groundskeeper, starts beating him up, and then the groundskeeper's wife comes and tries to get Cobb off of him, and he starts beating her up. Now, Ty Cobb had a history of violent behavior. I'm going to tell you about that. When he ran the bases, now he hustled, he played hard, he never asked for favors, and when a lot of his teammates were out on their luck after the teammates retired from baseball or former teammates, he would compensate them so the teammate wouldn't be homeless. So Ty Cobb did a lot of generous things. One of the generous things, when the reason, like, he didn't make a lot of money playing baseball. Back then, professional baseball players didn't make all that much money. He made a lot of investments early on when Coca-Cola started, and that's how he got a lot of his wealth, and he came from a pretty wealthy family as well. But he compensated a lot of teammates. He kept them from being homeless if these former teammates were out on their luck. And he also gave a lot of money to help start a children's hospital. So Ty Cobb did a lot of generous things. Now, he had some violent behavior on the baseball field and off the baseball field. One of the things he did was, like, he would hustle, but he would, back then that's when they had metal cleats, and he would put the spikes up to try to take the player who was fielding, to keep the player from tagging him, but also try to take the player out of the game, and he would laugh sometimes if the player was hurt. Now, he had a career 366 batting average, and that was Major League's all-time record until, rightfully so, that the Major League started allowing African-American League, or what was known back then as the Negro League, statistics to be implemented in Major League Baseball statistics. And they should have done that. And that's what I'm going to get to. Ty Cobb was not a racist, okay? Ty Cobb, when Jackie Robinson broke the color barrier in baseball, Ty Cobb said that the integration of Major League Baseball was long overdue. And Ty Cobb said that he was not racist towards black people and that he liked black people. When Ty Cobb worked his father's farm, the foreman who actually supervised him and Ty Cobb had to take orders from him was called Ezra, but Ty Cobb called him Uncle Ezra as a matter of respect and deferring the authority to Ezra, because Ezra was Ty Cobb's boss, and Ty Cobb's dad made Ty Cobb listen to Ezra and do whatever Ezra told him to do. And Ty Cobb noted that. Ty Cobb said the only player he would pay to see money was Monty Irvin. And he thought that the only players that he thought were ever better baseball players than him were a handful of black players, Monty Irvin and Roy Campanella. When Roy Campanella got injured in a car wreck but survived, he sent condolences to Campanella and was happy that Campanella had survived that car wreck. Ty Cobb threw the first pitch out at a African-American League baseball game before baseball was integrated. So Ty Cobb was not racist. He was not a bigot. To the best of my knowledge, the 1994 film Cobb, which depicted Ty Cobb as a violent racist, the NAACP has condemned that film, and rightfully so, and the NAACP has made note that Ty Cobb is not a racist. So yeah, he was a great baseball player. He had a fiery personality. He did a lot of generous things with children's hospitals, and also helping former teammates that were out on their luck. But he also had a history of violent behavior, but he did not have a history of racism. One of the things, like and even when he was a kid, he had a history of violent behavior. When the boys and girls in the class competed against each other in the spelling bee, one of Ty Cobb's classmates misspelled a word and lost the game for the boys. Well, Ty Cobb found the guy on the playground, and he beat up the guy who cost his team the spelling bee. So yeah, Ty Cobb had a history of very violent behavior, but racism was not a history he had, and he was not what one might would call necessarily a sociopath, because he had a history of generous deeds as well. So hope everybody's doing well. Take care. God bless. Bye bye.